And there we go. Hi, everybody. This is Luiz Maia, and this is our second meeting in our course, The Behavioral Economics of Global Affairs, a economia comportamental de assuntos globais. It's for me a big pleasure, a big honor to be here teaching for you behavior economics in English, all right? So what I'm trying to do here is to speak very slowly in order to make sure that every single one of you will understand me, okay? I know sometimes this can be a little bit irritating, but yeah, you have to deal with it. So I'd like to start today asking you a couple of questions. First of all, can you hear me well? Is it my voice clear? Please make your reaction like this, or at least write down something in the chat, please, the chat box. All right, so it seems like everybody can hear me well, can hear me fine. Okay, guys, this is the first question. Please let me know if you don't understand something, okay? Here, it's not like we are on a schedule, on a strict schedule, and we have to run fast. It is not like this, okay? We got time. We have to enjoy this opportunity. We're gonna talk slowly because actually we will take time for that, okay? The idea is to practice your ability to understand a foreign language. So it's all good. If I'm going too slow, let me know and I will speed up, okay? Okay, so the second question is, how many of you have had access either to the class notes or the YouTube session? Please put down your okay sign there if you can. Did you guys had access to the class notes or to the YouTube session? Okay, thanks. Great. Let me tell you one thing. If you access the YouTube session, you can add subtitles. Você pode adicionar legendas to that class. So you can hear me and you can actually read in English or in Portuguese what I'm saying. I just tried out a few minutes ago. I started reproducing that session and I realized that the subtitles were there. As legendas estavam lá embaixo. Then, if you pick one of those settings button, the one that you can fix something, calibrate something, you pick that setting, aquele botãozinho de ajustes, then you can actually choose from different forms of subtitle, including the translated version of that, all right? So the same thing goes here. If you watch this class and you don't understand something, you can later on check out the recording. It will be on YouTube, and then you can watch it again, and you can try to see if you understand with the subtitles in English. And if you can, you just translate it to Portuguese, and then you will finally have all the chances to understand what I'm saying, okay? So this is a good point. I wanted to emphasize that. This may be a good resources for you in the future. There is another tip I wanted to give you. What is that again? You watch on YouTube, you can watch later. Oh yeah, no. The thing I wanted to do is to make a test. Let's see. How many of you did understand the example I gave at the end of the recorded session? I told you about an experiment, and I wanted to make sure you guys understand that. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell the story in Portuguese, and then later on, I'm going to tell the story again in English, all right? This is a very interesting example, so I want to make sure everybody follows me on that. All right, so first in Portuguese. Lá está você, um estudante numa universidade americana, e aí aparece um anúncio dizendo que você pode ganhar $10 se você participar de um experimento. Esse experimento é muito simples, é um experimento sobre memória. Você vai entrar num prédio, vai ter um rapaz te esperando logo na entrada, ele vai falar assim, obrigado, você quer se inscrever? Tá joia. É simples o experimento, nós vamos te falar um número, você vai andar esse corredor todinho, vai entrar na última sala e vai dizer aquele número. Só isso. É só isso? É só isso. E para isso eu vou ganhar $10? Para isso você vai ganhar $10, R$50. Pô, beleza, onde é que eu assino? Eu quero. Aí o cara vai lá, assina, fala, tá bom, o número que você vai memorizar é 232. Beleza, 232. Tá bom, tá jóia. O cara vai andando rapidamente, chega lá do outro lado, fala 232. Qual a dificuldade? Acontece que para algumas pessoas, eles falavam apenas o número 232. Para outras pessoas, eles falavam o número 232.497. Não, tudo bem, 232.490. Mas para uma terceira pessoa, eles falavam 983.257.732. Eita, 983, 253. Conforme você aumenta o número de dígitos, todo mundo sabe, vai ficar mais difícil memorizar. O experimento não era sobre memória. O experimento era sobre a sua força de vontade, o seu autocontrole e até um pouco a sua cognição quando você está estressado. Quando você tem que memorizar um número muito grande, o seu nível de tensão aumenta. Então, o experimento era, na verdade, sobre a forma como você toma decisão mediante estresse. Sim, mas qual que é a situação que ia ter alguma decisão ali, além da memória? Esqueci de contar o resto do experimento. Quando essa pessoa saía ali do primeiro atendente, ele ia andando, acidentalmente vinha um rapaz puxando um carrinho e falava assim, opa, desculpa, eu cheguei atrasado, você está participando do experimento? Todo mundo que participa do experimento pode pegar aqui um lanchinho. Tem essa bolacha creme cracker sem gosto nenhum, sem nem manteiga, sem nada, seca, ou tem essa torta de chocolate com cobertura aqui. Pode escolher, quer um pedaço da torta ou quer um creme cracker? Aí você fala, bom, tudo bem, mas quem tiver ali tranquilão, talvez tenha mais chance de falar, eita, peraí, tô ficando gordinho, tô tentando segurar aí com a torta, eu vou no creme cracker. Mas será que a pessoa mais estressada vai ter uma tendência maior a pedir a torta? Então, o teste realmente era esse acidental que acontecia no meio do caminho. Era ver como que as pessoas conseguiam exercer seu autocontrole depois que estavam no estresse. Então, era um experimento de economia comportamental. Quantas vezes a gente não toma decisão de maneira estressada na economia? All right. If you got that, now go back to English. So here you are in an American college, an American university, and you are a student. And then someone invites you to participate in an experiment. Supposedly, it's like a memory experiment or something like that. But then again, $10 for almost nothing. Yeah, here we go. I'm going to participate that. And I'm trying to get my $10. All right. So I entered the building. It shows up a guy and this assistant, research assistant. And he comes and said, look, it's a very simple experiment. You sign up here. I'm going to tell you a number. You're going to walk down the aisle. And by the end of the building, you're going to enter in the last room and basically tell the guy over there the number. Oh, that's it? Yeah, that's it. And for that, I'm going to make 10 bucks? Yes, that's it. And he says, yeah, this is a great experiment. I love that experiment. It turns out that for some people, these guys will tell you three numbers like 238. It's easy to memorize 238. But for some other people, these guys will give larger numbers like 426,369. Okay, it's a little bit harder, but yeah, I can memorize that. For some other people, they're gonna give you like 25,625,313. And then it's gonna get like tougher, right? It's gonna be harder to memorize all those numbers. It turns out that when you have to memorize larger numbers, you're gonna get a bit more stressed out. You're gonna get tense. You're gonna be like, worried about, yeah, can I actually make that? Yeah, I will try. Yeah, I have to get those 10 bucks. Yeah. So if you are worried, how good are your decisions? Once you are stressed out, how good can you keep your calm, keep your cool, and make good decisions? So that was the real experiment. Because by the time you leave the table with the first assistant, you're going to walk down the aisle, and then accidentally, here comes a guy with this chart, and he's pushing this chart and say, look, guys, I'm late. I'm a bit late, but anyone participating in this experiment, you guys can get a snack. You can either have this crackers, or you can have this very nice chocolate cake. It turns out that most of us, we are watching our figure. We try to not get too fat, even in a pandemic time. I don't know. So you try to take care of your figure, your shape. Then these guys come and offer you that temptation. How can you restrain yourself? How well can you keep it up, and say, no, it's okay. I'm not going to have the cake today. I will take a cracker. I don't know. You guys understood me, right? It turns out that in this experiment, the larger the number you are supposed to memorize, the more likely you are to go for the cake. So it is actually an experiment in behavior economics. Everybody cool with that? Same deal in Portuguese and in English. So this is the point, guys. This class is supposed to be easy all the way to the bank. Okay? We are going to make it easy and easier, and we are going to talk in Portuguese if necessary. If you guys want to make questions in Portuguese, it's okay. If you want to try out and, make questions in English, speaking up or just typing down, whatever you guys prefer. We are going to do the way it's easier, the way it's smooth. Okay? Okay, so let's try. Is there any other question about the things that we discussed in that recorded session, the one that I posted on YouTube? You guys have any specific questions about that material? No? Okay. Good, good. Thanks, Talia. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to share my screen here, and I'm going to show you very quickly what we've talked about so far. And then we're going to fill some new stuff. All right, so this is our schedule. We're going to talk about the introduction to behavior economics, rationality and bounded rationality. Oh, let me tell you a story, a funny story. When I lived in the US, I had the chance to teach there, right? I was like a teaching assistant. So a professor would come and have like 2 meetings with the students. And every week I would manage the 3rd meeting. I would be the teacher in the 3rd meeting. And basically I would solve exercises with them, all right, with the students. So it's like a monitor here in Brazil. And there I was like a teaching assistant, all right? So I spent like 1.5 years speaking, using the word revenue. Revenue. What the hell is revenue? I used to say that, revenue. And the guys there, they didn't say a thing. They didn't correct me. For 3 semesters in a row, I was using the word revenue. And then like 2 years later, one of the students came up to me and said, look, Luiz, please don't get this wrong, but the right way to say that word is revenue. Revenue means receita, receita de uma venda, receita de uma empresa. And then I said, well, thanks. I've been using the wrong word for a long, long time so far, but then again. So these things may happen here and there. If you hear something that is quite awful, strange, please let me know. Help me out, okay? I'm not that good in English. Okay. So first I told you about this deal with the magazine, The Economist. They had like 3 options, and one of them was never chosen by anybody. Some people picked the first choice. You only purchase for the web access to the magazine. In the second case, you take both the print version and the web version of the magazine. No one picked the middle one. But as they took it out, what happened? Well, the proportion of people taking the first deal increased a lot. And that was actually bad for the company, you know? They were getting more money as they delivered the print version. But then again, they didn't know best. They didn't study. They hadn't studied behavior economics. So we have collected a number of situations like this. We text and drive, we spend money and later on we regret, we procrastinate, we leave something for later as we were, even when we know that we are supposed to do right now. So we don't look like very much rational individuals. But then someone can say, hey, Luis, so this is about how defective my brain is. No, it's not like that. It's just that we have a kind of rationality that is not what we thought it would be, or at least that some economic models have assumed it to be, okay? So the big plan is we're going to talk a lot about individual behavior, one person make decisions. Then we're going to talk about a bunch of people making poor decisions. I'm just kidding. A bunch of people in organizations, in companies, in business ventures, and they are going to make decisions. Sometimes those will be funny. And later on, we're going to talk about social behavior, things that we learn to do together in large communities and things like that. Then I talked to you, I explained to you that this is not only about marketing, okay? We know that marketing is very efficient in creating celebrities to sell more, in associating your decision with that of 247 billion people, using the authority figure to convince you and purchasing something. They can do lots of stuff to manipulate you. All right, we talked about that. But that's not what economic psychology and behavior economics is all about. What we're trying to do is actually to understand human reasoning, the way people think, the way people organize ideas to make choices, all right? So this is not as trivial as we thought it was. The decisions are not so simple. Actually, people take many more circumstances into account when they make decisions. A simple way to show you that, think about a birthday gift, right? You have a very good friend, it is his birthday, and you want to give him a gift. And then someone tells you, wait, if you don't have time to purchase the gift, go ahead and give him the money. And then you would say, oh, come on, how cold is that to give people the money? I mean, some people would even take it wrong. They would say, come on, what do you think I am? I'm like 12 years old, you're giving me money. So it doesn't look right. You don't feel right doing something like that. But for the economic model, it doesn't matter. If 70 reais is the same amount of money people would use to purchase a nice shirt, yeah, you're giving him a nice shirt. It's okay. No reason to complain. Yeah. Arthur is saying, yeah, I prefer money, please. Yeah. Sometimes the choices are so poor that you should have given me the money, right? It's true. Some of my relatives are like that. I would prefer they give me the money. But then again, so what I'm trying to say is that choices are not as conventional as we thought they were. And what we call rational choices, they don't seem like human choices. So here comes these guys, Kahneman and Tversky, and they are the developers of prospect theory, among other things. Here's a kind of a sequence of very important people. First and foremost, this guy on your left, Herbert Simon. This guy, I keep telling you guys, please believe me, this guy was a genius, really, okay? I mean, he knew anything you could learn in economics. He knew a lot about informatics, programming before there were computers, okay? This guy knew sociology, he knew history. He's really something. He was really something, okay? Really completely different kind of scholar. But then again, after him, after his work, you had these two other guys, Kahneman and Tversky. They are kind of considered the fathers of behavior economics. And now we have a bunch of other guys, very interesting, doing some very interesting research and making huge money selling books, all right? So those books are huge bestsellers. These guys are all rich now. Is there someone with the mic open? You want to speak up, say something? It's okay. Don't get scared. I think it was just an accident. Elisette, you want to say something? Or can I mute your mic? Well, I did. So these guys are making lots and lots of money. And we had examples like this. If there is a chance you can make more money, but you already have an option of making money, most of people would say, you know what? I'm going to stick with what is already guaranteed. I'm going to stick with $250 for sure, rather than buying this lottery ticket in which I may end up winning more money, but I can also get nothing. So here you are, risk aversion, averso ao risco. But if you invert the situation and you are talking about a loss, so you are already losing 750, would you like to have a chance to make more money, or I'm sorry, to lose nothing, even though you can eventually end up paying more? Well, it turns out in this situation, people are risk lovers, risk takers. As pessoas se transformam em amantes do risco, tomadores de risco. So what's going on? when you're talking about gains and loss, you have absolutely different preferences. So this is the kind of stuff we are trying to study, starting from the bounded rationality theory from Herbert Simon and going all the way up to examples of nowadays. So for example, global warming and smoking. Think about this. Those are situations in which people make very poor choices. If you smoke, I don't think anyone here does smoke, but anyway, if you smoke, what happens? Well, you have pleasure now, the nicotine into your brain, it will activate some areas of your brain and it gives you pleasure, right? That's why people smoke. They get addicted to it, actually. So when you smoke, you prefer to have pleasure now, even though you know that later on you can feel a lot of pain. You can lose your life. You can have trouble, you can be sick because you smoked for so many years. So what happens here is that you have like a delayed feedback. A resposta, a consequência dos seus atos é atrasada. Well, behavioral economists realize that our brain is terrible at dealing with delayed feedback. And you have a more pressing example, global warming. So check this out. We like to drive, we like to drink, and we like to eat the stuff we eat. We have consumption habits that are not sustainable. I mean, down the road, maybe 50, 70 years from now, there may be no churrascaria. Think about churrascaria. That's a good example. Think about that. People go to a churrascaria and they eat up as much meat as they can possibly, right, fit in their stomach. Rodízio no Brasil. You eat as much as you can. Some people leave the place like, right? Just because it's all you can eat. There is this expression in English, all you can eat. This is all you can eat place. Esse é lugar do tipo, come e quanto quiser. So rodízios are like that, right? But think about this for a while. 1 kilo of meat, you have to spend all the way down the production line, you have to spend about 17,000 liters of water for 1 kilo of meat. I know you may look at me and say, come on, Luiz, you're crazy. This is paranoia from this Greenpeace guys or things like that. No, it is actually true. If you calculate all water it is used to livestock feeding, growing, and eventually in the whole processing industry, all the water you use for every single kilo of meat we eat, we spend about 17,000 liters of water. This is absolutely insane, right? But then again, we don't take that in consideration. We just go to rodízio and say, yeah, I had a great time here. I spent 50 reais and I ate like hell, as much as I could. Maybe 50 years from now, this will not be available. I mean, it's not feasible for the whole world to do the same. If everybody did the same, we would have no water, no drinking water left to satisfy all of our needs. Okay, so we are poor at dealing with delayed feedback. Resposta atrasada, consequência atrasada. Whenever those things happen, we tend to make poor choices. And you can see that sometimes with politicians, right? They say, you know what? As long as I was the president, the country was doing great. After I left, here comes this dumb next president, and the whole thing goes down the road, goes down the drain. So sometimes people say like that, and there is a delayed feedback, delayed consequence of poor actions taken from the previous administration, right? Okay, so the fact, the psychology of, psychology of homos economicus, ou homem econômico, a rational and selfish individual with relatively stable preferences, has been challenged. We do not believe that thing anymore. Sometimes we feel like these assumptions are not appropriate. And then here comes the first contribution of Kahneman and Tversky. The book was written by Kahneman because Tversky was already dead. He died a few years ago from a cancer, but Kahneman was the author of this theory. So here comes the explanation. Let's suppose it is not the actual truth, but let's suppose that your brain, it is actually like two brains. You have one brain, which we'll call system one, and that is fast, intuitive, automatic, based on previous experiments, based on something that is already programmed in your brain, subconscious or unconscious. So if someone touches you and you are not expecting, you may, you know what, jump out. Hey, what's going on? So this is like an impulsive and an automatic response. This is system one. System two is like you guys are here right now. You're kind of listening to this Brazilian person trying to speak like American people. And you are, wait, I have to pay attention because sometimes I don't get exactly what Luiz is saying. So you have to pay attention, you have to control your focus, you have to deliberately analyze what I'm saying, right? Okay, so here's an example. In Brazil, sometimes you see lots and lots more often, you see this thing going on. People come and say, look, 8 vezes de 129. This is great. Yeah, 129? Yeah, it fits my budget. Cabe no meu bolso, dá para pagar 8 vezes 129. People don't realize that they are paying more than 1,000 reais for something that they could spend only 750. Look how small are the letters here, right? So what this kind of advertisement is trying to do is to use your system one against you. And in this case, it's the opposite. Look, here, these guys made the information easy. They are not talking openly about kilowatts per month, how much it is compared to some other equipment. They're just giving a letter, just a letter. A, good. B, not so good. C, D, no. That's it. So they're trying to make your system one system, your system one reasoning work for you. All right? You get this all the time. So they realize this, yeah, it is harder to learn a foreign language. It is almost automatic to speak your natural language, the one you were born exposed to, right? And they keep calling attention to some of the characteristics of our brain. Our brain is very good of noticing things that stand out, something that is new, something that is, check this thing here. This is the letters, the larger letters in this page. So saliência, o destaque. This is a very predictable way of drawing people's attention. Give them highlights, and then somehow you can facilitate or maybe even manipulate people's choice. We are also kind of clinged to the situation. We don't want things to change. So this is one more characteristic of every person in this planet. We are not talking here about Brazilian people, Chinese people, or American people. We are talking about people. People like things to stay the way they are. Change is always some sort of unpleasant, uncomfortable. We don't deal very well with change. And they keep coming. You know, many situations in which you realize that our rationality is not so much what we would expect it to be. Let me give you two more examples. The way we deal with time, okay? Temporal and social dimensions. Let's take a look at these biases. Do you guys understand the expression bias? Vieses? Please do remember that biases, vieses, they are actually about trends, tendências cognitivas. It's not like you are always going to make that mistake. But if you don't pay attention, yeah, you're going to make that mistake. All right? The first one here is present bias. Whatever happens now and near now in time, it is more important than something that happens 10 years from now. If I tell you, you know what? If you eat this piece of cheese, you're going to die in 10 years. I know people that you'd say, yeah, in 10 years, yeah, maybe, sure, give me the cheese. You know, if something is down the road, it's hard to visualize. It's hard to take that into consideration. So we have these present biases. We think more about today, and sometimes we are careless about our future. This thing is important, guys, because most of us don't save enough for our retirement. We don't put aside money which we will predictably need 20, 30, 40 years from now, all right? Everybody feel like, you know what? When I'm 50 years old, I will start saving. So this is the second bias. It's the planning fallacy, a falácia do planejamento. We actually underestimate how long it may take for us to complete a task, and we actually ignore past bad experience. We say, you know what we are going to do this weekend? Well, first I'm going to meet my girlfriend, then I'm going to talk to my grandparents, then I'm going to visit someone else, then you program yourself to do a lot of stuff, you plan a lot of stuff for your weekend, and when the weekend comes, you can't execute the plan. You actually do 3 or 4 of those things, right? So we are too optimistic when we are making plans. And once again, this is not Brazilian people. Please believe me. American people do the same. Japanese, maybe Japanese don't. But anyway, Japanese, German, everybody does that, okay? So in this new world, for example, dishonesty, unethical behavior becomes something different. A gente pensa que desonestidade é uma questão de caráter só. Ah, o cara foi bem educado, ele tem adesão àqueles princípios e tal, ele não é desonesto. It turns out that any one of us, we are inclined to some sort of dishonesty in certain conditions. And I'm going to tell you about those, okay? I'm going to give you example of those. There is a film on Netflix. I don't know if you guys like Netflix. Come on, who doesn't? On Netflix, you can find a film, and it is called The Truth About Lies. Well, at least that's the name of the book of the guy. I think it is both the name of the book and the name of the movie, okay, the film. So try and find that one, The Truth About Lies. And what we end up understanding is that given certain conditions, some contexts, we are all inclined to behave at least a little bit unethically, all right? There are some conditions that some buttons that if people push, we may end up doing things that we don't want, okay? This is very interesting stuff. Let's have some examples. Let's have some, I have two videos here, but instead of presenting them to you, which would not be so interesting, I'm gonna do something else. I'm gonna give you guys a task, an exercise, okay? How about that? Let me stop this presentation here. Let's practice a little bit. Don't worry, it's not for grading. Oh my God, it is a test. I'm gonna fail. I shouldn't be here. Come on, guys, it's not like that. So let me have this, I don't know, this little test, this funny test with you, okay? I'm gonna put here in the chat an address. In just a minute, please. Okay, so here it is. Yeah. Okay. There we go. Please check the chat. Now, before you start practicing, before you even click on that link, I will do something else. I will divide this class in, let's say, 3 groups. Let's try this, okay? I mean, guys, this is just for fun. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna press a button here, and then I will be breaking the class in 2 rooms randomly, okay? Four rooms, I think. Yeah, there we go. Let's make 3 rooms. And then you guys will discuss the exercise and try to solve it. I'm gonna go over each of your classes, your subclasses, your subrooms, and I'm gonna talk to you in a bit, okay? And for that, we are gonna have like, let me see, how long? Let's say 15 minutes. Yeah, 15 minutes. Okay. There we go. Please confirm you're moving to the room, to a specific room. Just click on that, accepting you're moving to a specific room, please. All right. Tomás, Marcelo, Jamile e Paulo. Vocês entenderam as instruções? Yes, please. There we go. Só faltou Paulo. Oi, pessoal, tudo bem? Ó, eu dividi vocês em grupos, né? Eu quero que vocês Conversem entre vocês, ou pelo chat, ou pelo microfone, em português ou em inglês. São 8 perguntinhas, 7 delas são VOF, e depois tem uma perguntinha aberta. Pode trocar ideia entre vocês, pode consultar o livro Guia de Economia Comportamental, pode fazer pesquisa no Google, pode fazer qualquer coisa, tá? Eu vou colocar aqui o link de novo para vocês, ó. Pronto. Tá aqui o link de novo, tá certo? Daqui a pouquinho eu volto. Oi, pessoal, estão me ouvindo? Eu passei aqui para dar instruções para vocês. Eu dividi vocês em subgrupos. Vou colocar aqui o link de novo, tá? Para quem tiver perdido. Gostaria que vocês trabalhassem nessas questões juntos. Podem conversar entre vocês em português, em inglês, em espanhol, italiano, o que for. Podem conferir o guia de economia comportamental. Pode fazer pesquisa no Google, pode fazer o que for, tá? Mas tentem responder juntos essas questões. Tem 12 minutinhos aí para vocês trabalharem, tá certo?
Ok, professor.
Obrigado, daqui a pouquinho eu volto. Oi, pessoal.
Oi, professor.
Oi.
Tudo bem? Ó, vou colocar de novo aqui o link para vocês, tá? São 8 perguntinhas, 7 VOFs. Vocês podem conversar em português, inglês, espanhol, alemão, do jeito que vocês quiserem. Pode usar o Google, pode usar o guia de economia comportamental, pode fazer o que vocês quiserem, tá? Trabalhem juntos aí, depois a gente vai ver as respostas. Tudo certo?
Tá bom.
Tá certo.
Daqui a 11 minutinhos esse grupo vai se desfazer, então tem que ser meio ágil. Vamos lá.
Ok.
Tá certo.
Quanto
Olá, André.
Oi, professor, minha internet caiu.
Tem nada não. Você conseguiu trabalhar uma parte das questões, pelo menos?
Eu consegui fazer umas 5, só que aí caiu, aí eu perdi a conexão com o pessoal, tive que reiniciar o computador.
Tá, não preocupa não. Take it easy. Isso aqui é só pra gente brincar, tá?
Alright,
Ninguém vai ganhar nada de nota por causa disso, não.
ok.
I think everybody's back here, right?
Eu não botei meu nome. Ah,
Don't worry, people.
o microfone.
Thalia gostou da brincadeira.
Foi muito pouco
Ai,
tempo,
meu
professor. Isso aí nem se deu para.
Oi.
Pessoal,
Professor, eu percebi que eu mandei sem meu nome.
hein?
Eu esqueci de botar meu nome no começo do
Não tem
formulário.
problema, não tem problema. Isso não é um teste, gente. Isso é só para
Tá.
a gente brincar, tá? Olha só. A primeira coisa que eu percebi é que eu preciso dar bem mais tempo do que eu dei para vocês. Então, eu sei que da próxima vez, quando eu for fazer para valer um exercício como esse, eu vou dar 25 minutos em vez de 15, entendeu? Eu vi que a maioria de vocês só submeteu a resposta quando faltava 2 segundos. E aí teve gente aí até que esqueceu de colocar o nome e tal. Tem nada não, viu, gente? É só uma brincadeira. Don't worry about it. This is not for grade. Não está valendo nota. This is just for us to have some fun. And also for me to learn and calibrate time. Eu preciso aprender a calibrar o tempo de uma atividade como essa. We are going to go over the answers right now, okay? So I'm going to share with you my screen. And we're going to take a look at it. Please confirm to me that you guys have seen 10 respostas. Can you guys see 10 respostas in front of you? Okay. So let's have a look at it. Obrigado. É Thalia ou Thalia? É Thalia, né?
É Thalia.
Thalia. Obrigado, Thalia. Okay, guys, don't worry, okay? You guys can submit your answers again. This is not for grades. This is just, you know, to understand and to play a little bit. Okay. So let's go over the first statement. The main goal, o objetivo principal of behavior economics, de economia comportamental, as a subdiscipline of economics, como uma subdisciplina de economia, is to gather and expose the vast number of limitations of most conventional macroeconomic models. É reunir e expor um vasto número de limitações dos modelos convencionais da microeconomia. Come on, guys, you think that this is the main goal? O objetivo principal é ficar fazendo os outros passar vergonha? Não, esse não é o main goal. This is false. All right. 70% of you understood. Yeah, this is false. É verdade que isso acontece. Muitas vezes a gente mostra as limitações dos modelos convencionais, mas esse não é o objetivo principal. O objetivo principal não é criticar outros modelos, no pior sentido da palavra. O objetivo principal é atuar naquelas decisões, naqueles contextos em que os modelos microeconômicos são claramente insuficientes, tá? Essa aqui é a ideia principal. The second...
Professor,
Yes, pode falar.
mas na ideia principal, no, mais que seja falso, mas ele não, de certo modo, expõe as limitações.
Expõe. Ele expõe mesmo, um monte de limitações. O que está
Então, de certo modo, pode ser verdadeiro.
Pois é, o que está falso nessa frase é dizer que esse é o objetivo da economia comportamental.
Ah,
Esse não é o objetivo. O objetivo nosso é estudar a mente humana. Nós não somos aquele cara que chega lá e fica assim, consegui mostrar mais uma vez que alguém estava errado. Não é o objetivo ficar expondo, reunindo e mostrando as limitações dos outros. Isso acontece, mas isso não é o objetivo principal, entende? Ok, vamos para o segundo. O Amos Tversky e o Daniel Kahneman published a number of papers, publicaram um monte de artigos that appear to undermine ideas about human nature held by mainstream economists, que pareciam atacar, diminuir as ideias sobre a natureza humana mantidas por economistas convencionais. True, that is true. 100% correct. Yes, everybody got it right. The second one, the third one, global issues, questões globais, como imunização, fome, discriminação e imigração, have only recently been studied from a behavior economic perspective. Apenas recentemente começaram a ser estudados da economia comportamental, da perspectiva da economia comportamental. And policymakers have a long way to go in exploring the whole potential of new analytical tools. E os formuladores de políticas têm um longo caminho a percorrer na exploração do potencial integral dessas novas ferramentas analíticas. That is true. Yeah, we have lots and lots of things to do. Think about this, guys. If you drive too fast, what do you get? You get a ticket, right? Se você dirige rápido demais, você recebe uma multa. Now, let me ask you this. Do you think that that is the best way of convincing people to not speed? Vocês acham que a ideia da multa é a melhor maneira de fazer as pessoas não dirigirem rápido demais? Well, it turns out that it is not. The best way to make people drive slower, is to inform them about the nature and the frequency of accidents. A melhor maneira de convencer as pessoas a não dirigirem acima da velocidade é informá-las sobre a frequência e a natureza dos acidentes. Tem estudos mostrando isso. Então, a gente ainda não usa essa ferramenta. A gente deveria mandar não uma multa para a pessoa quando ela pega dirigindo rápido demais. A gente deveria mandar uma foto mostrando um acidente grave que aconteceu naquele mesmo trecho. Então, né, uma pessoa que foi assassinada por alguém dirigindo rápido demais. Then it would have even more impact. Or at least the first time, right? Ou pelo menos a primeira vez. A primeira multa poderia não ser uma multa, poderia ser uma informação. I think our policymakers think that the better way is to increase the traffic at colossal levels. Yeah. Nobody will ever speed up, right? If you are stuck in traffic. This is a good point. All right. Number 4, emphasis on consequentialism or appropriateness distinguishes some views on decision-making from conventional economics and behavior economics perspectives. Então, aqui está dizendo, a ênfase no consequencialismo ou no grau de apropriado que uma escolha isso distingue a maneira como a economia comportamental, a economia convencional e a economia comportamental trabalham. True. Congratulations, guys. 100% true. All of you got it right. Questão 5. According to Herbert Simon's work on bound rationality, our minds must be understood relative to the environment in which they evolved. Então, está dizendo assim, de acordo com o trabalho do Simon sobre racionalidade limitada, as nossas mentes devem ser entendidas com a perspectiva do ambiente em que elas foram desenvolvidas. That's true. We talked about that. You know, this brain, your brain, my brain, those machines, quote, quotes, they were developed on a time span of 300,000 years. 300,000 years in the African savanna. Only recent we left the savanna. So we are animals, and we have some things that are pretty much programmed in our brains, okay? Questão 6. From a behavior economics perspective, dishonesty is the product of situations, contexts, as well as both internal and external reward mechanisms, which often involves self-deception. Em português, para a perspectiva da economia comportamental, a desonestidade é um produto de situações ou contextos, assim como o efeito de mecanismos internos e externos de premiação, que muitas vezes envolve a autoilusão. Yeah, that's true. That's how we see from behavior economics perspectives. If we leave behavior economics perspectives, people say, you are a crook, you are a con, and that's it. It's just bad character. There's no way out of that. You calculated the risk and you're a bad person, that's why you did it. And from a behavioral economics perspectives, we understand that sometimes even good people do bad things, okay? 7. As an example of cognitive bias, como exemplo de viés cognitivo, in the so-called planning fallacy, no caso da falácia de planejamento, current events are weighted more heavily than future ones. Eventos atuais são pesados, são levados mais em conta, são calibrados mais, são valorados mais do que os eventos futuros, o que tem fortes impactos sobre a poupança e a estabilidade financeira. Yes, that's true, guys. You know, half and half here, but it is true. According to planning fallacy, we take much more into consideration our pleasure now. And we, sometimes we neglect the future. We say, you know what, that's not important. I'm not going to think about that right now. I'm not going to save right now. I'm going to save later. I don't care about how much financial stress I will have 10 years from now. I will enjoy today. You see, this is kind of planning fallacy. We feel like we can start saving 20 years from now. Oh, what about present bias? Yes, there is some sort of present bias here too. But yeah, let me see. You know what? You were right, Arthur. This is both. This situation here is actually dealing with both, with present bias and planning fallacy. The description is very much like present bias. But when we talk about impacts on savings and financial stability, you get a glimpse of planning fallacy. So you guys are right. I'm wrong. Both answers are okay, you know? Some people can say, you know what, this is the description of present bias, not planning fallacy. And some other people say, come on, both are related. They deal with the same kind of experience. So yeah, I would have to accept both answers in this case. Thank you, guys. Sorry for this mistake. And the last one, say, describe Kahneman's dual system model. Illustrate your answer with a couple of examples or behaviors. Então, descreva o que é o modelo do sistema dual e dê alguns exemplos. Então, compra por impulso é o sistema 1. Quando a gente faz cálculos complexos é o sistema 2. Beleza. 7 respostas interessantes aqui. All right, this is great. Perfect. And we are just in time to finish our class. Okay, guys, great exercise. Again, this is not for grade. Não vale nota esse exercício. Era só para eu saber o tempo, quanto tempo que a gente ia colocar nas próximas oportunidades. You guys can answer those questions later if you want. Not necessary, though, but you can. If you have not finished, se você não teve tempo de terminar, you can finish now, you can finish later. It's okay. This is not for grade. This is just a test, a simple test, okay? Now, I want to ask you a favor, or at least I want to give you some advice, a suggestion. I wanted you guys to go over the class notes. By the end of them, you're going to see the links for 2 videos, right? Let me show them here again. Share screen. Yeah. By the very end of our class notes for this week, I am suggesting here 2 videos. Both are very, very interesting, okay? One of them is with Dan Ariely, and the other one is with Esther Duflo. This lady here is the last Nobel Prize winner in economics, okay? She wrote Poor Economics. Ela escreveu livro chamado Poor Economics. And this guy here talks about dishonesty, he talks about predictably rational. So these are 2 great ways to expose yourselves to some more ideas in behavior economics, and at the same time to practice your English. All right? Is it a deal? It is like a homework, but I'm not gonna, collect your homework or anything like that. It's just a recommendation, a suggestion. Everybody cool? Okay, so I'm gonna stop recording, and then I'm gonna stick around here for a few more minutes if you guys want to ask questions or just chat out, okay? But I'm gonna stop recording now.